Donald Trump has a new nickname for Kamala Harris. Have you guys heard it? You probably have, because I played it at the beginning of the show. Let me play the longer soundbite here. Okay, this is him going after Kamala Harris there last night, I believe in Pennsylvania. Take a listen. Oh gosh, do we not have that? Let me see. Here we go.
Kamala Harris is the tax queen, and she's coming for your money, she's coming for your pensions, and she's coming for your savings unless you defeat her in November and want to take away your guns. Remember that. Always remember that.
Yeah, he went on. He had a lot to say, and I think this message is resonating with people. He's not making it up, incidentally. Like, he's absolutely right. She has some pretty grand plans to change the economy as we know it. I mean, I consider it a little bit of, how shall we say, like a wealth redistribution plan. This is what Kamala Harris wants to do. I mean, the capital gains tax alone is pretty darn scary. And I think that Americans need to wake up to this reality. And this is not a good reality in terms of the overall growth of the economy. We have a longer soundbite from him. And so if I can find this for you, I do want to play it because he had even more to say. Kamala Harris, the tax queen.
Kamala Harris is the tax queen, and she's coming for your money, she's coming for your pensions, and she's coming for your savings unless you defeat her in November and want to take away your guns. Remember that. Always remember that. As president, I will keep Kamala's greedy hands out of your pockets, and we will deliver gigantic tax cuts. I gave you the largest tax cuts in history, and we are going to go further. That's what created the greatest economy. You know, when they say compare yourself now, but do something else. Compare costs now. Compare the cost of bacon with the cost of bacon 4 or 5 years ago. Compare the cost of just groceries. I mean, some of these things have gone up 4, 5, 6 times. Energy, interest rates. How about, I was at 2% interest rates. Now they're at 10%, but you can't get the money, so you got to keep going up. Okay, you're not at 10% if you can't get the money. We will have, I'm very proud of this, and then she copied me on one of them, only one. I'm waiting for the others. We will have no tax on tips. That was an easy one. We will have no tax on overtime. You work overtime. And for our seniors who have been decimated by the stupidity of inflation, these people, what they did to you on inflation, we will have no tax on Social Security benefits. No tax. You've been decimated. They took it all away. They took it all away from you.
Wow. So he's speaking the language of the people, all right? And considering where we are as an economy, considering the latest news out today about how consumers feel, like their confidence just isn't there. We can go back to the Gallup poll. Take a look at that. People aren't feeling satisfied. Their economic confidence, that's a negative 28 index score. Who does that benefit, ladies and gentlemen? It benefits the Republican Party. I mean, the Democrats, if they were smart, they never would have allowed Jerome Powell to print that much money. They never would have put Janet Yellen up there bragging about transitory inflation. Transitory, my you-know-what, okay? Not true. And then they certainly never would have signed into action the Inflation Reduction Act that spent trillions of dollars on a bunch of boondoggle programs. I mean, they're all proud of their energy stuff. Let me tell you, all those car companies that they were going to do EVs with, they're all out. They're like, no, thank you. There's not enough of a market for that because the government can't do this stuff. Here's Rick Santelli.
Economic data crossing the tape. Rick Santelli has it for us. Rick.
Yeah, we are looking at some big misses here on consumer confidence. We're expecting a headline number to be around 104, 98.7, 98.7. That is the weakest going back to February of 21. July of 22. July of 22 when it was 95.3. So these are definitely weaker than expected numbers. Now, let's go towards present situation. 124.3. Also a very big miss. That's the weakest since March of 21. And here's something very fascinating. This now, if you look at the July read, that was the weakest since April of 21. So we are really looking at present situation deterioration. And if we look at what lies ahead in the form of expectations, minus 81.7, and that's the weakest, well, just since July of this year. Now, let's switch gears towards Richmond Fed. We have both manufacturing and service indices. On the manufacturing, minus 21, which means it's 11 consecutive negative number in a row. And here's something fascinating. If we look at the business side of it, the service sector, it's minus 3. Our last look at minus 13, well, it was the 30th negative number in a row. So minus 3 is definitely a big improvement, but it's still 31 negatives in a row on service sector with respect to Richmond Fed. So we are looking at yields moving a bit lower on the long end. And do keep in mind, the long end is on pace for its fourth consecutive higher yield close in a row. Every close since last Wednesday's 50 basis point cut by the Federal Reserve. Sarah, back to you.
Oh,
okay,
my
Rick Santelli.
gosh.
Rick, thank you very much. Adding that weaker
So,
consumer confidence into the...
Let me just help digest this. In other words, that's why you're seeing the CNN poll as tight as it is. I mean, when people don't even want to tell you because the pollster's recording you on the other line who you're really voting for, and they're within a point spread of each other, that's what that's about. When you see him taking the Sun Belt by storm from the New York Times, that's what that's about. When you see all of this data coming in, when you look at what Gallup reports, when you look at what Polymarket is saying, all of this is pointing towards the same thing. Rasmussen as well today. Big news out of Rasmussen. And you look at that, you're looking at 45 to 49, Trump in the lead. Why? Because of what Santelli was just saying there, guys. You know what? The economy is in bad shape. You get 11 consecutive quarters of negativity on the manufacturing front. He talked about expectations of consumer confidence coming in at 104. Instead, they got 97. And guess what? They revised a bunch of other ones down. People are feeling pretty fill in the blank about the economy right now. And so when Trump's out there in the grocery store talking to people about their grocery prices, that resonates. This is why the Teamsters, when you look at the manufacturing data, feel very strongly that Trump should win as opposed to Kamala Harris. And so I'm looking at all the data and I just don't know how she pulls this off. I really, really don't. Quick word from, again, one of our sponsors, American Hartford Gold. You can text my name, Trish, to 65532. Do it today. You know that I feel very strongly about a diversified portfolio. Gold is a big part of that. Certainly in my personal life, I am a big believer in making sure I'm diversified. Gold is part of that. In fact, I recently bought some the other day. So you can do that too. You can get up to $15,000 in free silver right now with American Hartford Gold for qualifying offers. Give them a ring, 1-844-495-1115. You can text my name, Trish, to 65532. Do it today. Text Trish to 65532. But tremendous when you think about just all that's happening right now. So much going on.